It's already over.
My goodness.
All right, well.
Here we go.
I'm kind of rooting for NaVi now.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, Dignitas aren't just the better team in terms of their ability, but, you know, they're one of the most popular teams in Europe, with Scrub, apparently Jack, having huge numbers on content. So they do tend to do well in the fan votes just on that alone. But I do think it's fair to say this is one of those games that just shouldn't be going any other way than a 3-0 to Dig. But Rocket League is a chaotic game, so maybe we'll see it change.
Yeah, and just how well have Dignitas done? For the longest time, they have been up against it when it comes to rebuilding the squad. And they have done great work of it. And look who is still getting the setups. Apparently, Jack can't do it any better.
I've never seen that before, what Jack just did. That was amazing. He got in front of the ball and did like a power slide on the wall to send it down to Jorius. And then somehow Jorius was in the right position to read it. That's the more impressive part of that play there. As we see the first goal going in favor of Dignitas. I don't even think there's concern if they concede. You know, these guys will be able to score several goals on NaVi in any given 5-minute game. So do watch out for the firepower. We're going to see some beautiful goals here from Dig.
I really wanted to see a compilation of the work that Jack does when he gets the ball in the corner. Like, a position like we're seeing Jorius in right now. Instead, Jack takes the shot for himself. But that was a position when we were getting started, you know, even up to Season 4, maybe even up to DreamHack Montreal. We considered, all right, you got the ball in the corner. There's no options there for you. Just play as you can. And it turns out, when you're apparently Jack, you have nothing but options.
Sends it to himself off the wall. Wave dashes on the wall to be able to recover faster. And not only does he get the air dribble after his dodge, but he gets the bump on one of the best 1v1 players in this tournament. Not able to hold him out. Apparently, Jack getting the second goal for Dignitas here.
This is beyond what we were discussing earlier regarding a player stepping up on Dignitas. This is just stepping up to a whole other level. Apparently, Jack is world class today. As we are going to see off the backboard, Tigre, one more opportunity, couldn't get the ball back down. Now Jorius off the musty. Didn't quite find the power that he was after. But Dignitas, those comms have got to be so positive at the moment.
Yeah, they just seem to be having fun this game. You know, that's the advantage this team has. They don't get tense when they're up against teams they should beat. They go in and they just have fun. As you can see, Jorius reading it off the corner, so relaxed as a team, goes the whole distance himself, sets up the pinch in the wall and reads it off the bounce. You know, these guys can 1v3 over and over again against this NaVi team. So expect some beautiful goals.
Yeah, it was a bit casual there as well from Tigre, who himself very storied of his RLCS career. And before we moved over to the open format, virtuoso as well. Trying to re-establish himself after moving away from Endpoint. Was one of the most talked about players that we had in the Season X. I'd like to maintain it as well. Apparently Jack far too quick. Jorius, is he going to go for net? Did have Scrub Killer over there as well, but the zero boost meant that he couldn't get the ball. We couldn't get the car back around the ball. Now, apparently Jack, with Scrub, just puts it to the side, makes life a little bit more awkward. This actually could go the entire way, and it has!
Oh, nice little solo play. Sends it to himself, takes over Scrub. Unpredictable. Jorius just didn't want to challenge too early in case he had the dodge. And takes it under Jorius and then also under Jack as well. Luis P with some interesting wheels. I don't think I've seen these wheels being used before. The little, the very thin, spindly ones. Looks very unusual in his car, but he is a very good 1v1 player. That's what I was going to get to say. He's one of the better 1v1 players we've seen in the scene. Waiting for his chance to find the right threes team for himself. And that's, you know, you got inspirations on the field like Jack and Jorius and Scrub even, who've come up through the 1v1 scene and made a name in threes off the back of it. Luis P is just waiting for that team that he suits and fits well in, and he can utilize those 1v1 skills. As he gets the first goal for NaVi, he's going to go for a solo play here off the sidewall. Not quite able to get the flip reset. Dignitas gain back control.
Yeah, it's another example of nothing to lose, really. An opportunity to showcase what you're capable of doing, both individually and as a team. There's a good setup, though. Scrub Killer out of boost. Jorius calls off, apparently, Jack. And we do see yet another attempt at the 1v1. We're getting a lot of estate just coming out from those dribble plays. at midfield going very well for Louis P.
Yeah, well, as soon as he recognizes he's got a bit of space, he looks to slow down the play, draw in a player, take him out, but it's going to be tough to take out multiple Dignitas players back to back to back. They line up very well as a 3, supporting each other. You know, a lot of experience in that 2v2 environment where it's so key to be able to force challenges, force the ball to a teammate who's behind you. As we see Scrub, as you get the flip reset here off the back wall, doesn't use it. Joria is now trying to continue that play, being very risky in his creativeness off the side wall. That's it. Dignitas trust their mechanics. They feel comfortable as the third person moving forward to take on those solo plays.
Virtuoso looked for the ceiling pinch. Actually did a fairly good job of it. Gets the midfield at least temporarily under control for his team. Scrub Killer, once again, 0 boost. If there's anything that NaVi have been doing well, it's at least maintaining some sort of boost control. Also able to settle down in the second half of this game, but has it got away from them? It's a little bit too early. Virtuoso tries to recover the play. Still going here, actually, but now with support from Tigray. Apparently Jack underneath the challenge. Needed the support as well, but there's the infield over to Jorius. We're going to go coast to coast now. Very quickly as well from NaVi if they want to try and make a game of this.
Right, settled in though now. They've found their feet in the series. I think Dignitas just came out too hot and were just able to outplay them with their superior mechanics. And now that they've realized, actually, we can just challenge this. If we cut it off early, it takes away the ability for these guys to style on us. So maybe NaVi coming in stronger into this next series with the way they finished there. But at the end of the day, Dignitas just had so many opportunities to score, so many opportunities to create goals. And that's where they took that series 3-1. What else is going on right now, Orb? Any other interesting results? Any interesting first games?
Absolutely. We have Endpoint versus Luminosity. They won, let's see, Luminosity won game 1, 3-2. Carmine versus Guild, that ended 3-2 in game 1 to Carmine. And currently we have Semper versus Zero Nation, 2-0 in their game 1 with a minute left. And let's see, yeah, they're 2 minutes in, Carmine and Guild, and it is goalless in their game 2.
Yeah, Carmine need to lose that. We've seen what happens when they take the 2-0 lead in matches today. That's just, you know, a little bit of a, oh no, I missed it off the backboard, I think would work out just brilliantly.
Yeah, and I think the other big story, we haven't really spoken much about them, is Semper. You know, they didn't have a very good first regional. They really need to step up now and try and get a big result in one of these events. One of our major representatives, they came top 4 at the full major, and here they are struggling through the lower bracket once again. They need to go far.
Did you see the fall major for Semper as a, I don't know, a lucky turnaround for them, or essentially a one-off?
I don't think you could say it's a one-off. I think they earned their spot there by consistency, and they really performed well under the team environment at LAN. They started to work really well together. I think they kept speaking about teamwork being such a fundamental factor for them there. They are currently on boot camp, which hopefully they'll get that same effect through that boot camp vibe that they got when they were at the major, and we'll see them playing a lot more solid in this event.
Can also always be that just moment where we have seen a lot of teams, and I'm not necessarily accusing these guys of it because it's hard to tell unless we get a couple of months down the line, but some teams peak and they get there, they have their moment, and then we don't see it again from them. Semper clearly realizing that the first result wasn't the one they wanted, immediately right back to work, get themselves back on the boot camp. I love that. Just don't allow it to just be, okay, it'll just work itself out. Take it into your own hands. That's what they're trying to do down in that lower bracket against Zero Nation. Furious to apparently Jack. Went very, very athletic with the first touch, and Scrub Killer playing back through his own corner. Actually, might be able to go the entire way with this. First touch didn't set him up too well, but he can still take the challenge. Tigray is also dancing around as many players as he can. This is where Dignitas going to do their best work, trying to lock down in the midfield. But one thing I just noticed there, actually, Gregan, is how slow Tigray was to go back, because he was at that back line taking both of the 100 boosts.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big difference for Dignitas is they rotate back so fast. But in this situation, it doesn't matter how fast you rotate, but if you're slow to that ball, then you're always going to be beaten, as we see Luis coming in so fast in the midfield there, beating out the final defender. And I don't know who it was on the wall. It might have been Tigray, it might have been Bert, beating out Jorius to that slow play off the wall. I think Dignitas are not respecting the challenge game here of NaVi. NaVi coming in with lots of momentum. Dignitas playing for the slow flip reset solo plays, getting dunked on and putting themselves on the back foot.
Yeah, even one of the players, actually, if I'm going to call out how good he was earlier, I feel like apparently Jack has been overplaying some situations where just a clean hit would have potentially been better for his team. Drops it down here to Jorius, unchallenged for the longest time. Now Scrub Killer off the backboard. Luis,
oh, here we go.
All by himself, and Scrub Killer. Quick reminder of what he's capable of doing. Couldn't put that one in, but apparently Jack, that is so quick, so clean, and so difficult to stop.
That's what we needed. We needed some more zippy plays here from Dignitas. We saw from Scrub, up fast, backboard double tap with a flip reset. So fast, forcing the defense to scramble. And after that scramble, Jack coming in, gets that ball to roll down the backboard and reads it himself. The speed of those plays was what made them dangerous. NaVi looked scrambled, couldn't defend it. And that's the Dignitas we need to see.
NaVi, that is the danger you have against Dignitas there. It's going to be some plays that you look at and realize there wasn't much you could do to stop it. Maybe some clairvoyance, maybe seeing 10 seconds into the future. But outside of that, you are just going to have to sit there and watch. As apparently Jack puts in a worldie of a goal. Here is apparently Jack yet again. Tell IT great. Demo starting to move in though. Apparently Jack stays around. Good clear, and actually it's past Jorius, who gives up on the initial touch quick enough that he can recover it.
Oh, the wall dash. Great use of the wall dash
That change of
there.
pace just throws you off, even if it's a small amount. As a defender, you're just not expecting it.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to call out every wall dash that happens in Rocket League now. You know, it's very common, especially in North America. We've seen a lot of the players out there doing it. But in that situation just there from Jorius, like, they knew he was low on boost. They knew he was on about 20, 30 boosts because they'd seen it. Again, here, Scrub. They know he's on low boost, and he gets to the ball faster. Scrub Killer, double wall dash into a boom, 0 boost. It doesn't matter. He finds the goal.
Look at the respect he was given the entire way. Chips the goalkeeper 2-1. And sometimes you need to go for the challenge. That was one of them. Dignitas 2, NaVi 1. Minute and 30 left on the clock.
If you need a better example of why wall dashes are so dangerous, that is exactly it. These guys know when their opponents are on low boost, and in those situations, they wait for them to make the mistake. And that's when you can punish them, as Jack comes in off the corner, punishes them here once again. Dignitas are feeling it now.
Oh, and that's not the first time either that NaVi just looks so unhappy with playing the ball off the backboard. It's not these high, right up there, going for aerial touches that they've been missing. It's stuff like that we just saw. Low bounces that they're just not in the right position to deal with. NaVi do need to clean that up.
Jack alone at the back there. Those are the kind of situations that you've really got to find yourself being a mechanical player to intercept. Jack was alone for a good few seconds and trusted his ability to beat the player to the ball, which would take up the time needed. We see a lot of less mechanical players left alone. They can't trust themselves to beat the opponents to the ball, and so they'll just wait until the mistake comes out and maybe get scored on.
And here's Luis trying to set something up, but Jack plays the reverse card. Almost set up his teammate to go across the field. Although this is where the best work's been done. And apparently Jack fully aware of that now. Happy to challenge significantly earlier. The respect now earned for the dribble plays. But 3-1 is going to be a very difficult task to get this one back. Because apparently Jack, again, sets up. And we're going to go into this in more detail in just a second, Gregan. But I want to just see the way he's setting this up. Because the first touch is in a position that the defender can never get to in their right mind. It's so wide. And he still creates plays from it. You just have to sit there and wait and hope that you're in a good position to deal with the shot.
The complexity of the mechanics he's pulling out is some of the most amazing mechanical plays I've seen in Rocket League in a long time. Jorius gets all that credit for the way he played, in particular at the full major, and the mechanics he was pulling off. But Jack is utilizing the zeroing of his gravity with the dodge, his air roll, the way he's connecting with the ball, the boost, everything he's using so beautifully and smoothly that honestly, I'm just watching his point of view right now, and I'm just blown away by what I'm looking at. It's unreal.
Right, well, Orb, we've talked a lot about Jack. What's happening elsewhere? Who is on the verge of continuing on, and who is teetering on the edge of elimination?
Well, Dig is putting in work for sure. We have Endpoint responding strong in their game 2. They've just tied it up, winning versus Luminosity 2-1. Guild won their second game. They are currently, they're currently up 1 with some 90 seconds still to go. And then we have Semper having a tough time against Sirius Nation. They're down 1. I think they're about to be down 2 goals. 22 seconds to go. They need to score twice to just tie it up. So tough run for Semper.
Have we switched this? Have we now got all of the really, really difficult games happening away from us right now?
I think so.
That just means that maybe your prediction was right, Shogun.
I mean,
you were right all along.
91% is ridiculous from you at home, but Dignitas are currently holding up their own end of the bargain. And this has been, this is obviously day 1 of the Premier Cup. We could rename it to the Apparently Jack Show. It has mostly been about him today, Gregan.
It has. I mean, this is the kind of thing we want to see from this team. We've seen Joriez play like one of the best players in the world. We know Scrub has it in him to be one of the most clutch players in the world. Historically, a world champion player, He's finding himself in a comfortable position on a team that he trusts. But it was always Jack that we questioned, especially when the pressure was on. What's he capable of? And I think today he's really shown what his peak can look like. And the more we see that peak, the more we see Joriez peaking, this is a team that could be the best in the world, as apparently Jack snipes that bottom corner off the breakdown play. Made it look so simple, so easy. It's just beautiful.
This is the worst part here, Greg. I saw that. It was a fantastic shot. Could not be placed better. And I was kind of disappointed. Just after everything else I've seen, I was a little bit disappointed by perfect placement on a shot. He has set the standard exceptionally high. And for NaVi, they are the ones that have got to deal with this. They're the ones that have got to find the reverse sweep.
Just so much control in the decisions they're making. Now, we talk about the flair of these players and what they're capable of. But the real challenge of a top player, we're talking like your Monkey Moons, your Justins, your Daniels now in North America. These players who are able to simplify their mechanics down at the right moment and do the low boost, low momentum decisions that, most other players would try and overcomplicate. That's when you really start to see a world champion player. And that's what that shot was right there. It was the right thing to do in that situation. It was the simplest option.
Right, well, switching this over for the time being as well, because obviously we have rightfully in bigging up what we've been seeing from Dignitas. NaVi, they came into this one huge underdogs. We didn't get to see much of them last week. How are you feeling about them? What are the positives that we're getting out of this squad?
I mean, they look solid.
Oh, there you go. That's a shot.
They look very solid, and I think that's the real interesting spot for these teams coming through the closed qualifier. They need to make it as often as possible. There is a bit of a battle at the bottom for these teams, not only to make it into the regionals, but to get out of that 16th, 17th spot, so you auto qualify into the closed qualifiers. So they'll all be fighting for those points, so they don't have to go through the open system as often. And so every win right now matters for these guys. But the way they're playing, it is good, but Europe has just got so many dangerous teams that NaVi are going to find themselves the underdog very frequently, as they just don't seem to have that X factor that can create goals out of their good challenge game.
Oh, looking to go low. Apparently Jack did get a good challenge. Here goes Jorius. Look for the top corner. 2 players needed. It is somehow kept out. You mentioned that open and closed qualifier. Turned into some of my favorite tournaments in the entire circuit, especially for Europe. Yeah, all of the team broadcasts happening like we do have today, but it's just that something extra. All those teams desperate to make it to the main events. Be able to take on teams like this to have their own opportunity. As we've seen, Europe more than capable of producing winners as well from that open and closed bracket tournaments.
Yeah, there's so many quality teams not making it each event just because of how dangerous that closed qualifier is. Guild almost beating BDS earlier. and yet they weren't able to make it last event through that closed qualifier. And this event, we've got Heroics, you know, with Yukio, Oli, and Violent Panda. And if you said those 3 players, you think, oh, they're guaranteed to be in the top 16, but not here in Europe, not with so many new teams like NaVi coming through, like teams like Queso, right? Like, imagine having to face Queso in a closed qualifier and then seeing them go on to win a tournament, and you think, hang on, that was one of our games to qualify for the event. We had to beat that team. And at this event, we've got Evil Geniuses and Misfits who've won their groups out coming through the closed qualifiers as Jorius finds a small gap. Again, the fundamentals strong from Dignitas. Scrub Killer leaving that ball, forcing the weak clear, and Jorius coming in and cleaning it up.
Yeah, that one looked frustrated by Virtuoso. It was not the best clear, ends up hitting the ceiling, which is one of the biggest no-nos when you're trying to clear the ball off your own backboard. Always just drops the ball in front of your own goal. Here's Jorius yet again. Virtuoso dealing with that one a little bit better, but still, look at how many different ways Dignitas have got of putting the ball into your side of the field. As we are ticking away, 45 seconds left here before the 3-0 is secured for Dignitas. Winner of this one is taking on either Endpoint or Luminosity in the next round. And it looks secured at this point. Dignitas dominating their opponents and breezing on through to that lower round 2.
Clean strike there by Jorius. And just prior to that, I think it was Scrub who was just willing to lose an interaction behind him. Something Dignitas do so well, this is something you guys at home can learn from, is when you're going into an interaction, we all have a tendency to try and win that challenge, try and force it into your opponent's half, gain the territory. But actually, your teammates are often behind you, to the side of you. And so one thing Dignitas are willing to do is just let that ball get beaten to the challenge, and let that ball go behind them, go towards a teammate, and gain strong possessions. We've seen it with both goals now in the final few minutes. And this is going to be a Dignitas win here. 3-0, sweet. 3-0 in the final game here. Apparently, Jack really showing up today. Will he carry on doing that tomorrow as they have to take on the lower bracket as they did in the first regional? NaVi, fantastic performance from them, but just finding the hardest opponent in that lower bracket in the first round.
Yeah, NaVi did some really solid work today. Took the 3-0 win against Cooks' Minions, but this is as far as their road shall travel. Dignitas win, and they move on. Like I mentioned, either Endpoint or Luminosity waiting